My artwork was selected from all the collections. I made a selection of the ones I like best. This one was printed a little too large because the white background isn't larger. So at 8 by 10 it's too tight at the top and bottom. I'm printing everything at about 5 by 7. I'm using the HP laptop and I'm printing from the editing page, which is different than the older computer underneath. It has a different selection screen. So the procedure is to select a piece of paper. This is 8.5 by 11 basic glossy paper. It's put into the rear tray and the bottom tray is emptied. Printing is selected, and as you can see the picture isn't correct. So I choose rear tray, 8.5 by 11, change this to glossy paper, not full page but 5 by 7, and then shrink to fit. It looks too small, but it comes out all right. I kind of like all the big white borders. I think I have 20 of them. Printing inks cost $18 and more each, and there are 6 of them, and I have to change one of them already. Some years ago I had large versions printed commercially. I went to different places and they could cost up to $100 each. Framing could be done at $100, so I wanted to sell them for $300. I have 2 of them that are framed, and they're, those, they call them Glieke prints. But these little ones, I couldn't sell them for $30 each for all the time and everything. So this book, 20 pictures at $30 each, $600. It's not a book. It's a portfolio of fine art prints. Each one with ample room to have a mat put around it and put it into a frame. But as it is, even at several $100s, it's a portfolio collection of fine art Glieke prints. And I could, but I wouldn't, sign each one. It would be ugly. If there was a mat around it, I could sign it on the mat. This collection is being printed for myself. 5 by 7 is nice because it's economical on inks, but it's also nice because the page frames the picture, gives a lot of white space around it, and they're so detailed. You just have to get a little bit closer to read them. This picture in particular has a nice large white surround. It was made that way for the larger prints, and some of them have too small of a surround, and it results in a picture that doesn't fit on the page correctly when there's not enough white around it. This one was done correctly. There's a lot I don't know about printing, but I have all the slides. 90% of my artwork has been photographed with a 35mm Kodachrome film, so they look great. And I digitized them and cleaned them and everything, examined every inch and removed spots and everything like that. So the prints were really gone over thoroughly before giving to a printer to print it up gigantic. And I had a one-man show of them, but I'm offering them here as an explanation and a demonstration. I love my pictures, and I would love to share them with people, but, you know, fine art costs a lot. It's my life. And I'm 80 now, and these have been done, and I've saved them over, 6 and 7 decades. So this is, a life of work. And I'm starting to share part of what I'm doing nowadays with it. And I just wanted to leaf through a collection of the pictures that I like best. And this isn't all of them by any means. This is only a selection of the more finished oil paintings in color. Now this one came out too small. I'm not sure why. It's probably a low number of dots per inch. The original's quite large. It's over there on that wall. So this goes on the reject pile, and I will delete it from the selection folder. I know a couple people whose relatives have been artists, and they had a whole collection of art. And even another guy whose son, I think, or grandson, went through the classical training series. He ended up killing himself because he couldn't make it as an artist. But these other two, one guy's, somebody in his family, I don't know, maybe his wife's mother or father, did art all their life, and they had like 3 feet high stack of papers. I guess they did a lot of watercolors. That's probably an exaggeration, but there was a great deal of art that was left over, and I was called in to look at it. Like the guy was saying, "What do I do with this? Is it worth anything? Would anybody?" No, they weren't that good. Mine are. Yeah, mine are museum quality. That's the way I look at it. His was not. It was a strictly amateur, untrained, but prolific. Oh, way more than my art. And another friend of the family, my family, the wife's grandmother, I think, was an artist in the 1920s during the Depression. Really quite good, like extremely advanced amateur quality. She had a very fine eye for the most subtle tones, for the beginning still life renderings with shade and one light source, and very, very delicate. Didn't follow through very much. And the self-portrait was exquisite, and I recommended it being sent to Baumgartner Art Restoration to flatten it out because it was all cracked. And I didn't think it would last another 100 years because it was about 100 years old. Beautiful self-portrait. Not prolific. A little bit of sculpture, a little bit of Israel, a little bit of landscape, a bit of still life. And again, what do we do with it? Because they're getting old. Who's going to want it? I try to tell people, other artists, what do I do with my work? How do I make it in the art world? You got to do what I'm doing now. You've got to document it. You've got to print it yourself. You've got to scan everything, photograph everything, document it, write stories, interview people, find out where everything is. The whole process. Nobody else is going to do it for you. You've got to do it yourself. And you better start before you're dead. Or before you're too old and tired to do it. You know, don't give away your art, I used to say, but you know what? Those people I gave it to, they won't give it back. He says, you're never getting it back. I love this picture. You know, it's like, oh, that's why I know it's good. Here are all the pictures that I printed. They're oil bar or oil paint, mostly. This one's on paper. The heavy duty, really stiff, 100% rag silkscreen paper. Whoa, what the heck? This is the book, in order, this time. There we go. That's the book, in order. Okay, here's the stack. I ended up with 21 pictures. One of them was printed twice, so it went into the pile over here. I thought I had 20, but I must have had, you know, more. Now, one of them didn't make it and had to be deleted. So it needs a cover, a backing. I would like to spiral bind it on the left side. So when I go to Staples, that's what I'll do with this. But I won't do it for a while because there's drawings, there's silkscreen prints, there's sculptures, there's sketches, there's realistic pencil drawings, you know, there's people, figure drawings, statues in the museum. So I might make collections of those and add them as chapters. So I have a hard copy of a lot of my work that I like, just so I could look through it. Or anybody else who happens upon my web page, YouTube, archive. I may get a web page and put these up. Now, like I say, I have a lot of originals, but I also have a lot of silkscreen prints. And I could print or have some printed like this. I would go to Modern Reproductions downtown and have them print larger versions of the oil paintings if somebody wanted one. They could even put it onto canvas, I think. Anyway, they could mount them so you could put it directly on the wall with no framing. They put it on some kind of board, gator board, and they put little grooves in the back so you could hang it up just the way it is. So that's an option. I don't know what it would cost. I don't know how big you would want it. The paintings could be 64 inches wide. So the originals, 48 inches to 54 to 64. They get pretty large. The drawings, they don't have to be big. They could be larger than life size. A lot of these still lifes were 16 by 20. The silkscreen prints were a lot larger. They barely fit into the big print drawers. But I have a lot of copies of the prints. And even some of the pencil drawings have been reproduced or could be photographed and made into Gleeke prints.